Survival on Nintendo used to be limited to Minecraft and Don't Starve. Not anymore. In 2026, the Switch 2 is getting Valheim, Ark, Subnautica, and a handful of indies that completely change what's possible on a Nintendo handheld. Here are the 10 survival games I'm telling everyone with a Switch about. One of the biggest survival hits of the decade is finally landing on Switch 2. The game already sold over 12 million copies in early access on PC and Xbox, and Swedish studio Irongate just confirmed a Nintendo console release this year. The setting is a procedurally generated world inspired by Norse mythology. You're a fallen Viking sent to the 10th realm by Odin to prove your worth by slaying massive bosses. You can play solo or with up to 9 friends online, building longhouses, hunting, crafting weapons and armor, and sailing Drekars across endless seas. The Switch 2 version comes with full crossplay between all platforms, mouse mode support through Joy-Con 2, touchscreen menu controls, advanced HD Rumble 2 vibrations, and gyroscope aiming. Worth noting, the Switch 2 version is launching alongside the PS5 release, and rumors suggest this will coincide with the full release after 5 years in early access, making it the perfect entry point for newcomers.
His Valkyries carried your wretched souls here to fend.
Frictional Games, the creators of Amnesia, The Dark Descent, and Soma, basically the fathers of modern first-person horror, finally brought Rebirth to Switch 2. The game originally launched on other platforms back in 2020, and the Switch 2 version is already available since April 30th, 2026. You play as Tassi Trianon, a woman who wakes up alone in the Algerian desert with no memory of what happened. Days have passed. Her companions are missing. As you piece together fragments of the past, you face psychological horror, emotional trauma, and ancient secrets of the Gate Builders, an alien civilization that vanished in catastrophe. There's almost no combat in the game. Survival here is built on stealth, your wits, and limited resources. A key plus for the Switch 2 version, it adds adventure mode, which dials down the horror intensity for those who want to focus on the story rather than the stress. Personal take: if you love meditative narrative horror with deep emotional weight, this is one of the best examples of the genre from the past decade.
Come on, stick.
Okay, this one is the complete opposite of everything else on the list. Outbound is a cozy survival game where you simply live in a camper van, travel through a utopian world, and build your mobile home. No enemies, no threats, no stress. Made by Square Glade Games, who raised nearly $300,000 on Kickstarter. Gameplay-wise, you start with an empty van, gather materials, craft upgrades through a modular system, and make your home self-sufficient with renewable energy from the sun, wind, and rain. You can cook, grow a garden, fish, and adopt a dog you can train to fetch resources. All of this works in online co-op for up to 4 players at once. Fresh news: the studio pushed the release from April 23rd to May 14th, 2026 for both Switch and Switch 2 simultaneously. The demo is already live on the eShop for both platforms. If you're tired of horror and post-apocalypse, this is your therapy. Studio Wildcard officially confirmed that a Switch 2 version is in active development. This is a full remaster of the original Ark. Survival evolved on Unreal Engine 5 with overhauled graphics, dynamic lumen lighting, nanite technology, and a redesigned interface. The gameplay is classic Ark. Form a tribe, tame and breed hundreds of unique dinosaurs, explore the world, craft gear, and fight your way up the food chain. On other platforms, the game already includes all the legendary maps: the Island, Scorched Earth, Aberration, and Extinction. Studio Wildcard co-founder Jeremy Stieglitz confirmed, "We already have working Switch 2 builds, and that's only possible thanks to the new Unreal 5.7 version." Skeptical moment: there's still no release date, and the studio openly admitted that Ark on Switch 2 was impossible before the engine upgrade to nanite tessellation. So the port quality is still a question mark, but the fact that Ark is even getting a shot at Switch 2 is a huge deal for fans of the franchise. One of the best underwater survival horror experiences ever made is already available on Switch 2 since February 17th, 2026. This is a re-release of the original Subnautica with a serious upgrade. The setup: your spaceship crashes on ocean planet 4546b, and you're the only survivor. No zombie-style enemies, no other players, just you, an endless ocean, and creatures that get more terrifying the deeper you dive. The Switch 2 version delivers 1440p at 60 frames per second in docked mode and 1080p at 60 frames per second in handheld, with mouse mode support through Joy-Con 2 for precise scanning and tool interaction. The big one: if you already own the original Switch version, the upgrade is free through the eShop. Personal take: Subnautica remains one of those rare survival games where the real fear isn't the monsters. It's the emptiness of the ocean itself. For me, it's still the most nerve-wracking game in the genre. The sequel to the original Subnautica, also available on Switch 2 since February 17th, 2026. The action takes place in an Arctic region of the same planet 4546b, 2 years after the first game. You play Robin Ayu, a scientist arriving at the Altera station to investigate the death of her sister Sam in a mysterious incident. Unlike the first game, this one leans heavier on narrative. There are full dialogues, a voiced protagonist, and story characters. Gameplay is built around surviving the cold. You craft a thermal suit, sip hot coffee, and warm up by thermal lilies to keep from freezing. Above water, there are snowy landscapes, new weather systems, and the Snow Fox vehicle. Below water, there are new biomes and new leviathans. The Switch 2 version, like the original, runs at 1440p at 60 frames per second docked, supports Joy-Con 2 mouse mode, and the upgrade is free for owners of the Switch 1 version.
Landing was a bit rough. Some of the wildlife
From the German indie studio Cyberwave, just 2 people. The game has gathered over 1 million wishlists on Steam and made the top 30 most anticipated projects. Release on June 8th, 2026 for Switch 2, but not for the original Switch, and that's an important detail. The setting is a world of floating islands with a high-tech but environmentally conscious civilization. You build a base on an island, grow food, craft gadgets, and fly between islands on your own airship, with everything playable in co-op for up to 4 players. Instead of killing monsters, the game runs on renewable energy. Solar panels, wind turbines, water generators, batteries, and wireless energy transmission. Weather affects power output, so planning ahead matters. Animals here aren't enemies, but symbionts. Pigs, for example, dig up truffles if you treat them well. Important detail: the game skips early access and launches in its final version straight away, which is rare for the genre. If you're tired of hostile survival games and want something Stardew Valley-like but in first person up in the sky, this is it. A cozy mining sandbox from Swedish studio Pugstorm and Fireshine Games. The Switch 2 edition launched on January 28, 2026, alongside the major Void and Voltage update. The gameplay is somewhere between Terraria, Stardew Valley, and Don't Starve. You wake up in an endless underground cavern near a mysterious ancient core, and you have to dig, build, farm, fight bosses, and uncover the mystery of this place. The Switch 2 version brings improved graphics, a higher frame rate targeting 60 frames per second, reworked lighting, shadows, water quality, and particle effects. The biggest addition, native co-op for 8 players, which is double what the original Switch supported. Cross-platform play works both ways. Players on the original Switch can join 8-player sessions hosted on Switch 2. The Void and Voltage update added a new biome called Breaker's Reach, a new robo-boss Sahabar, a flamethrower, a minigun, and an advanced automation system. Personal take: Core Keeper is one of those games you can sink 200 hours into without noticing. Hello Games brought their Infinite Space universe to Switch 2 back on June 5th, 2025, and this is now the most complete version of the game in existence. Since launch in 2016, the game has gone through more than 30 major updates: Foundation, Pathfinder, Atlas Rises, Next, Beyond, Origin, Sentinel, Echoes, Worlds Part 1 and 2, with more still coming. The gameplay is a journey through a procedurally generated universe where every star is a sun, and every planet has its own biosphere with unique creatures, resources, and secrets. You can be a fighter, a trader, an explorer, a base builder, or all of the above. Multiplayer supports up to 32 players on PC and 8 on consoles. The fresh 6.3 Xeno Arena update added turn-based tactical battles between tamed creatures, Pokemon style, with unique abilities for each species. Honest moment: after the catastrophic 2016 launch, Hello Games built one of the best examples of a live service game in the industry. All of this is free, with no microtransactions or subscriptions.
More will follow.
We're closing with the cult survival classic set in the cold Canadian wilderness from Hinterland Games. The game has been available on Switch since 2020, and for newcomers on Nintendo, this is the perfect time to jump in. The setting is northern Canada after a mysterious geomagnetic disaster that killed all electronics. You play either a crashed pilot or a doctor surviving in the wild at -40. There are no zombies, no monsters, just cold, hunger, wild animals, and an environment trying to kill you. The signature feature is the complete absence of HUD elements. You have to listen to your body's sounds, watch the weather, and ration every match. There's a survival mode with no story, and Wintermute, a narrative campaign across 5 episodes. The final episode, The Light at the End of All Things, launched on March 31st. 2026 on other platforms, and the Switch port is expected by the end of April 2026 since Nintendo certification runs slower. The Long Dark is the kind of survival game that works through silence and isolation, not panic and chaos. If you want meditative, dark, and beautiful survival, this is it.
Help her.
It looks like a terrible idea. I was trying to
Tell him.
Tell him what?
You know.